Bam, there we go. All right, we are back again, everybody. We're good to go, and we are on to episode 4. Mike, go ahead.
All right, episode 4. Having multiple faces makes you great. In order to take the fight to the Beastmen and their gunmen, Team Gurren sets out from Littner Village to strike a possible gunman rallying point. Along the way, they encounter the eccentric black siblings, as well as the prospects of having to defeat a multifaceted enemy on empty stomachs. Apparently, this was directed by Osamu Kobayashi. Does that name sound familiar to you at all?
Yes, it does. Oh, Kobayashi does. Crud, I'm blanking out on something. Oh, boy. I'm going to have to go back to... You're going to have to let me know, because I'm going to try spelling it, and I'm going to butcher it.
I'll message you later, but he's worked on like shows like Paradise Kiss. He did a couple episodes of Naruto Shippuden.
Oh, nice.
He did an episode on Panty Stocking.
Oh, of course, keeping it in the family.
Yep. And he worked on one of the Lupin the Third series, the Italian Adventure.
Okay, I've never watched Lupin, but I have heard about it. It always pops up in recommendeds whenever I'm looking through stuff.
Yeah, that's a series that I'm going to dive into pretty soon.
Nice.
But yeah, as far as this episode goes, this and the previous ones had me so excited to talk about like where the show is going. And I gotta say, I really like the black siblings, and I hope, like Viral, we haven't seen the last of them.
Spoiler alert, no you haven't.
Good.
All of them. Remember the weird greaser type guy I told you about you're going to meet for no reason? That's him.
Oh, that's the guy.
That was him. Just like they develop these personalities from a bygone time that for no reason they should have, and I'm like, what? I'm like, okay, I get it, I'm fine with it, but man, that's just no matter what, you're gonna be the person you're gonna be. And I have watched this show so many times. I have never until this time realized that they ride those animals that they ride backwards.
That's an interesting detail.
Because I was watching in the smoke when Yoko gets on the back with Kitan toward the end of the episode, and I'm like, that was its face. They're riding those things ass first. I'm like, I never noticed that before.
Every character needs to have like that one off-color quirk.
Yeah. And you'll see obviously, you notice it very immediately. Kitan's quirk is going to be that he is more of a man than Kamina is, and he will let him know at every moment, and I love it. And what I said before about the angle that a lot of shows do, you're seeing little seeds of it now. How immediately Simone was really happy that he was around 3 busty, bodacious looking women, and then within 2 seconds they were all on Kamina instantly. That starts a little bit of something that goes to a place that ends when the stuff happens. But yeah, I just like they plant seeds very, very, very innocently, and then it ramps up quick. They don't have plot lines go on for too long, which is something I appreciate about the series. But anyways,
yeah, that is something very refreshing. Overall, I gotta say, episodes 3 and 4 are so far my favorites.
Nice. Yeah.
And this one in particular leans more into the comedy, because throughout the episode, Kamina and Simone are stricken with hunger pains.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like in the last episode I said that like Vero was their first like worthy adversary. The 16 head like gunman absolutely wasn't, but
No.
but the show has to keep escalating. So if the threat goes down, they need to nerf the characters in some capacity.
Yeah.
So this was their way of doing that.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like one thing that they showed was that like you had a two-faced gunman. Did that mean he was powerful because he had two faces? The next episode they had one with 16 and they kicked the crap out of it. So we're like, okay, no, the amount of faces does not matter. It's a very innocent way, and it's like you said, leading into the comedy. They go hunting for food to forage for the guys because a hungry man's useless. And then they bring the food back, and the guy that voices whatever that gunman is, I'm pretty sure he voiced I can't think of the name, but he was a very prevalent Digimon in the very first season. And I can't remember who it is, but yeah. I'm like, I know that voice. I know for a fact I have heard him just squabble at Ty about some random crap. But anyway, yeah, and with them being hungry, it might be the weirdest thing that this show does. And there's not. Is that episode 24? I want to say it's an episode 24. Another thing involving Buddha happens that's really that just is out of the box weird. It's the first one where it's just kind of like, okay, but you roll with it because everything else has happened. This is the first where I'm like, okay. Apparently, Buddha's an iguana on top of being some weird pig hamster where he can just take his tail off and feed it to Kevin and Simone, and it just grows back. This is one of the closest things that the show has to a filler episode.
It felt filler, like to a degree, only because like it's never really made clear it's never really like made clear how far away they are from the rallying point. Yep. So this just seems like a very random encounter.
Yeah. And they have in my opinion, they never have an episode where, in my opinion, a filler episode, which until I started watching anime, I had someone introduce the term filler season to me, and it made me want to puke. Because if you don't have an anime, or if you don't have a manga source material for a while, they just go, we got the budget from our studio to write like 3 seasons till they finish it. I'm like, are you kidding me? And not to go on too big of a tangent, but one of my roommates' favorite animes of all time is Death Note. And the same people that made Death Note made, or it was either the same company or the same director, then made Attack on Titan. And they stalled either season 2 or season 3 because they didn't have any source material go off with the manga. And then eventually...
I think I remember hearing about this.
And then eventually they're just like, all right, we're going ahead with season whatever anyway, and it's not going to follow the manga. I'm like, what did you wait for then? Anyway, back to this. Speaking of this is actually a show that got the manga for it after it came out.
That's pretty rare in anime.
It is. That's what I appreciated, because someone came up to me and they're like, yeah, I read the manga for Gurren. I'm like, Gurren had a manga? And then I looked it up. I'm like, oh, it was after. It's normally, obviously, they get it the other way around. But anyway, now you can't argue that it didn't match source material. You can't do that with the other one. But anyway, yeah. Like you said, the black siblings are great. They all have their distinct personalities, and they only got to talk for like 2 minutes each, and you got to tell what kind of character they were going to be instantly. And you got to see a new, like what I said when I wanted to see what each one of the pits was like. You're getting to see different ways that people deal with gunmen. Like Lagann is a tech whiz that knows how to do all this stuff roughly and fix up weapons. And they came up with, I believe they said, burning water that they just blast at the gunmen and they explode. So yeah, they all have their own ways, and it's, I can't think of what they're called, but that what the garb they were wearing when they first meet the crew reminds me of something big time. I can't think of what it is. It's obviously it's a Japanese thing, but I want to say it's a type of spirit, but I can't think of what it's called.
Yeah, the names kind of escaped me too, but it's certainly a unique look that they're introduced with.
Yeah, and we going. Speaking of the jokes, when you're talking about when they finally get the moment of the combining training, you get the feel a little bit. And one thing about how the believe in yourself thing gets turned down a little, like what we talked about in the last episode, to where you think at the start, Common is just like, we need to combine because I don't want to look like a boring idiot out in the battlefield. We need to combine in a cool way. Then when you get later and he's getting stuff and it's finally getting to the moment, you could see later on go, wait a minute, their combining's a little bit different. They actually combine and they fight better and they take better damage because their actual connection between the two people that combine is stronger. It's not just some random horse crap. Our machine was built to go this way, because theirs obviously isn't. And one of my favorite details, and it happens every time they combine, that Kamina has to tilt his head to the left so that the drill doesn't kill him.
Yeah, I noticed that too, and it's details like that make the scene as a whole work.
Yeah, it's like, this drill's even looking to start tasty. You have a deadly weapon 2 inches from your face, and you're just like, nah, it's fine, we'll deal with it. But and you get to see a concept that'll get obviously showed later on and then escalated, that once they start believing in themselves more and their their self-confidence boosts and their connection goes, Kamina doesn't even try and fight. And then Simone's the one that notices that drills just start spurting clean out of Gurren. And they'll give an explanation for that later. Obviously, they kind of wait on why all of its powers work, but it's interesting to me that it's not a show where they just don't talk about something because they have the answers and they don't want to say them. That is one of my biggest pet peeves in a show ever. And I know we've talked about it when we used to do the CW episode reviews, where an entire season just wouldn't happen if 2 people talked. Or we're just not saying something because the audience at home would then know the secret, when 2 people should have had this conversation at some point. But yeah, and it's just great. I've talked way more than you should have, and the fresh takes on you, so I'll let you go.
That is something I'll just expand on. Something that I'm liking about their journey is everything that they're learning about the mechs, or about like the gunmen, we're learning as well.
Yes.
And it is kind of cool that one of the reasons why Lagann is joining them is from a writing standpoint. He's there to provide the supplementary exposition.
Exactly.
But it's not like overdoing it either. He's just there to fill in some of the gaps, while the most of it is Kamina and Simone reacting to the stuff they're learning.
Exactly. You already have Kyle Ebert voicing Kamina. You can't have him doing his narrating from Dragon Ball over the top of it while they're doing other stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, but yeah, it's all done tastefully, and they've gotten us, like, everyone's getting their roles very well solidified. Like, more will come later, but they figure out what part of the team they are very quickly. There's never a person that seems like they're kind of butting into the other person to try and solve a problem. They're all there for specifics. But anyway, gotten to the point where we pretty much explained everything of what we liked in the show, unless there's more you want to go into.
Okay. One last thing. 'Cause I don't think we really touched upon it yet. The payoff with the payoff with the joke that they've been hungry the whole time.
Oh yeah.
That made me chuckle. But the payoff with like their training in the beginning with like trying to combine and it's just not working. Mm-hmm. Versus like what, like once they figure out like what the deal is, it's not just arbitrary combination. It's like they both have to be kind of on the same wavelength. It reminds me a lot of like the Jaegers in Pacific Rim.
You stole the words right out of my mouth. Exactly. They have to be in the same. They have to. Oh, what is it called? You have to sink in the drift. What is it called? I can't remember the exact term. They have an exact term for connection with their compatibility when they fall in. I just believe they have to get into the. Is it called the drift? Am I right about that?
Let's see. On Wikipedia, it says to combat the monsters, humanity unites and creates the Jaegers, gigantic humanoid mechas, each controlled by two pilots whose mind are joined by a mental link. So the drift is the mental link.
Got it. Okay, that's what it was. Yeah, and then it doesn't quite go as far as theirs with the like whatever, but like you said, yeah, they have to be both into it or it's not going to work, which is something I greatly appreciate. They can't just like Power Rangers combine the Megazord and then one person's pissed off, but it still runs. I greatly appreciate that there is a not over the top reason why it could not work. And the weakness for why it could not work is something that should be in very high supply around them, considering that they're people that get squashed like bugs regularly by these people that have been suppressing them. Its weakness is that you have basically the lack of confidence and will. So you not being able to operate that would be pretty easy to explain, considering every morning giant mechs come out and try and kill your population.
I also love like in general the show kind of has it almost kind of has like a punch clock like a punch clock formula to the like the villains. Mm-hmm. Like they attack in the mornings, and by sunset they're like, well, we're retreating.
Exactly. And like I said, the character who I talked about before that has the space in their name or whatever, or should, they don't exactly explain as to why that is, but you kind of put the pieces together yourself, that he does every single thing for how he deals with humans for an exact reason. And it is the coolest explanation in my head for a villain ever. I can't say why, but this show does something that I've never had any form of media do before. And I can't explain it until we've seen the last episode, because there's another person that does the exact same thing, but does it on an even larger scale. But anyway, yeah. So we got into the point of where I think now we've talked about everything. Is there anything in this episode that you would change?
I can't think of anything. This, no. I mean, I guess I would have liked to see the Black siblings, stay with Team Gurren for a little longer.
Oh, I get you.
But if they're important, like if they come back in the latter half, then fine, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And like I told you, you whenever there's a thought in your mind where I'm like, I would really like to see that person again, if they're not killed in that episode, you're probably gonna see them again. I'm racking my brain of all of the people that they face, and I can't think of a one outside of random goon number 2 that you don't at some point see a payoff with.
Something I've learned. If you want to see a character again, listen closely to the music.
Yes, very much so. And you also got to, what was that during? I think it might have been during the last episode. I forgot to ask you, since you're more of as you people will know, Mike is very much a music person. The theme I wanted to ask you what you thought of, it was kind of their, what I want to say, dire moments theme, when Kamina's getting the snot kicked out of him by Viral, and like Yoko is like yelling at Simone to get him to go, that like light, like just strings playing in the background. It's so good. There's barely any, I can't think of a music track that I don't like in here. But
yeah, the soundtrack in this show is awesome. I've talked before about the theme. It's up there as far as like best anime openings.
it is.
Another one, kind of unrelated, that I've had stuck in my head for a while is the first theme for Shaman King. It's called Oversoul.
Well, I will look that up after. Oversoul Shaman King. Obviously, won't play it on here because I don't feel like getting a copyright. But I will look that up after. All right, cool. Got it.
But yeah, having kick-ass music kind of it completes the package for a good shonen anime.
Oh, it does. It completes the kit package for anything. Like, I tell you, I feel like 1,000% more of a badass when I'm playing DMC5 when Devil Trigger is playing in the background.
Right?
Exactly. It's just... And one of my favorite... We'll go on a tangent. We'll end right after this. But one of my favorite things that it happens a lot more in anime than most other shows, and video games, I should say, is the other one where it happens a lot, where they'll be having a scene and the kick-ass battle music is happening, or like the tension is happening, and then randomly something will go through and a stereo will get destroyed and the music will stop playing. So they make it seem as though the stereo was playing the hype-ass music in the background. It's the best. It's just the best. But, all right. Yeah, I think that's our best for what there. And I will say, won't spoil anything, obviously. You watched the preview for next week. It introduces someone voiced by my boy, Johnny Young Bosch, speaking of DMC. And he's very good. And it gets to see what I talked about. I don't remember exactly what episode I talked about it in, but I want a show of just like what all of the pits are like. Because this one is eons different than what Littner and Jiha were like. But it's just, you get to see people that have, how do I explain this? Another common theme in this show is people that never had a joint society around the world or like close to joint beliefs don't have a, what do I want to say? An overall way of how they view what the world is because they don't know what it is.
Oh, like they live, sheltered in their own communities.
Yeah, like
they can't see beyond their own bubble.
Exactly. Like they live in their own planets, like under the ground. It's that different. And that will really come into play for why some things happen in the latter half, because they just don't know how to deal with situations they're put in other than we need to dig some holes. Hopefully we have food tomorrow. That's pretty much all they have. But anyway, that is good for today. We were creeping on 24. Oh boy, that was a little longer, but that's fine. It's good. These are under a half an hour. Or if it goes over, I can guarantee in that last couple episodes of this core and the last one, we will probably be talking for about an hour. But anyway, Mike, thank you again very much for doing this. I'm glad you were having fun while doing this. It seems like you're really getting into it. So where can everybody find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at CaptainK482. Check out all my quick thought reviews on letterboxd.com/CoachK482. Look for me in all the various Facebook groups, just at my name. Check us out on Anchor and Spotify. That's Renegade Pop Culture. Follow Ren Pop Culture on Twitter. And check out renegadepopculture.com, where you'll probably see these episodes make an appearance.
Just message Kiona about it, so we shall see. Kiona has, I don't know if I can say that. I'm not going to say that, but he has something going on with an actress from something that I really like. So I thought it was really cool. But yeah, everybody over there is doing good. I only helped just a little bit that needed, but everybody involved with Renegade Pop Culture is absolutely amazing. Go show them love. They deserve it at all times. You can find me on this YouTube channel. Obviously, you're here watching it. You can find me at Twitch at Organoid0 if you want to watch me be stupid, play some video games, come and hang out. I don't have much of a life, so that's what I do. Quarantine life, baby. And yeah, that's about it. We're done for this. And then, like I said, next week we get to meet one of my favorite characters. I say this so much. I need to stop saying that because every time a new character comes up, I say it's one of my favorites.
It's okay. It's Johnny Young Bosch.
It's Johnny. He's one of those people that like his voice doesn't change that often. The only time it's a little bit for this character, but the time that, and I don't think you've watched it, the time his voice has changed the most for me was when he voiced Jonathan Joestar in the first season of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Huh.
If you want to see some weird crap, Mike, we don't need to do a fresh takes because I'm pretty fresh on it. I've only seen the first 2 parts. JoJo is something else. I can't even put it into words. I just can't. It is meme the anime. That's all it is.
If I ever get around to that, that might be a future tuned up.
Oh, dude, I would do a tuned up with you about that in a freaking heartbeat, and I would have another guy that would love to do it too because he is a whiz on this. He's read the manga, everything. I told him about it, and then within like weeks, he's like, "Yeah, I'm through part 1 and 3." I'm like, what? I just like we were gonna watch it together. He's like, he loves spoilers. He never stops himself. But anyway, that's another topic for another time. Everybody, I love you so much. Thank you for doing this. It means the world to me. Thanks for watching. Thank you, Mike, so much. Everybody, stay safe. Spin on. I love you.